She stood at the counter with her coat on and her keys already in her hand. The pasta water was boiling. The timer buzzed. She didn't even look at the pot. "Don't wait up," Lauren said, scrolling her phone. "Late thing. Work. Work that starts at 6:15? I leaned on the fridge, arms crossed. "That's a new shift. It happens." She slipped the phone in her bag. "You'll live." I watched the steam drift over the pot and clocked the first cold fact. She didn't ask what I wanted for dinner. She didn't notice I'd set the table. No kiss. No touch. Just a moving target with a wedding band. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have turned off the stove, handed her the door, and saved the pasta. But I didn't. Not that night. I met Lauren 7 years back in a hardware aisle. She laughed at my bad joke about drywall anchors and bought coffee for both of us because my card got declined by a stubborn chip reader. No fireworks, no movie trailer. Just easy. We built a quiet rhythm. Saturday yard work, Sunday pancakes, weeknight walks. My idea of home wasn't fancy. It was a warm lamp, 2 mugs, and someone who met you halfway. For a long time we did. Then it shifted, slow and sneaky, like a picture frame going crooked, and you keep telling yourself you'll straighten it tomorrow. Dinners became leftovers alone. Her phone turned face down. Texts were K or nothing. If I reached for her hand on the couch, she drifted to check the thermostat. I told myself it was pressure at work, some new boss with impossible charts. That first night, I pulled the pot from the burner, let the boil go quiet, and called after her. "Grab a jacket. It's cold." "I'll be fine." She tossed over her shoulder, already at the door. The lock clicked. The house felt bigger and dumber than it should have. At the shop the next morning, Dan wiped grease on a towel and squinted at me. Dan's a straight shooter with a laugh like gravel in a bucket. We share a bay wall. He hears everything my hammer says about my mood. "You look like you slept on a bag of bolts," he grunted. "That house of yours lose heat again." "Heat's fine." I set a toolbox on the workbench. Thermostat works great when someone wants to avoid eye contact. Dan glanced up. "You two scrap." Not even a scrap. That's the point. I pried a bent nail from a plank, let it ping into an old coffee can. "She's late. She's short. She's a cloud with legs." "Then quit holding the umbrella," he said. "Dinner together tonight. And if she's foggy, you turn on the high beams." "Romantic." He snorted. "Grown up. You don't fix silence with quieter silence." He was right about the dinner. He was also wrong about the timing. I texted Lauren at lunch. "Let's eat together. 6:30. I'll grab groceries." She read it. 3 dots. Nothing. 30 minutes later. "Busy. Tomorrow?" I kept my reply simple. "Tomorrow, I'm on a job in Norwood late. Tonight's better." "Can't," she answered. "Don't start." "Not starting." I typed. Setting a plan. No response. At 5:30, I stopped at the store anyway. Salmon, asparagus, a lemon, the cheap kind that smells more like soap than citrus. I set candles, not for drama, just for light. At 7:10, the candles were little wax pawns, and I was cutting the salmon into tomorrow's lunches. At 8, my phone lit. "Sorry. Exhausted." I ate with the team. I walked to the sink, turned on the tap, and let the water run over the knife. "When do you want to sit down?" I replied. "Don't pressure me." Then, "I need space." I typed and deleted a dozen lines. I went with one. "Got it. Take it." I put her plate in the fridge. I went to the garage and built a shelf I didn't need. By the time she came in, 11:30, I'd made 3 quiet decisions that weren't up for debate. 1. I moved my alarm earlier. I'd hit the gym before sunrise and be out before she woke. No more waiting in the kitchen like a retriever listening for keys. 2. I split the calendar on our wall into 2 columns with a thick marker. Left side, my plans. Right side, hers if she put any. No shared gray areas where one person can claim, "we," and then disappear. Plans require ink. 3. Finances. I opened a separate account for day-to-day spend and moved a chunk there. Not punishment. Clarity. Groceries, gas, and bills. Yes. Random late-night charges I didn't recognize. Not coming from my pocket without a conversation. At midnight, she came into the garage door, saw the shelf, the sawdust, the calendar. She set her bag down. "What is this?" Her finger hovered by the black line through the dates. "Order," I said. "Left column is mine. You want the right column, right on it. If you're out late, fine. I'll stop planning around a ghost. Her head tilted. Wow. Dramatic. Simple, I corrected. Grown up. So now you're punishing me for working? She started up the stairs. Not punishing, I replied, shutting off the light. Adjusting. The next week folded into itself. She got colder. Jokes turned into little shots across the table. Why do you always stack the plates wrong? She asked one morning, tapping a dish in the rack. Every time. I stack them so they dry, I answered, sipping coffee. Normal people stack big plates in the back. Normal people say thank you, I said, not looking up. She laughed without smiling. Don't be sensitive. On Wednesday, she got a haircut and didn't tell me. On Thursday, she told me we had dinner Saturday with her friend Kelsey and Kelsey's boyfriend. I pointed to the calendar. Saturday's my night with Mike, I said. Mike coaches the youth team I help with. We planned a fundraiser and usually end up eating wings at a place that forgets your order twice and then apologizes with extra fries. Check the left column. She frowned. It's Kelsey's birthday. You should go, I told her, taking a pen and sliding it across the counter. Write it down. You don't need me to applaud the cake. She set the pen down like it was evidence. So you're choosing your buddies over my friends. I'm choosing plans I made a week ago and communicated in pen, I said. Next time, if you want me there, tell me before 48 hours, not after. Her eyes narrowed. You're changing. I am, I said, because you changed first. Friday evening, she came home early with takeout and a bottle of that cheap red we'd drink when a week took too much out of both of us. She put the bag on the table. I thought, maybe we should do that dinner, she said, softer, like she remembered how to be easy. I can push Kelsey. Stay in. Watch something dumb. You know. I've got the fundraiser prep, I reminded her, nodding toward the stack of forms on the table. She touched my arm. I miss us. That was the first soft turn. It came right after I drew lines on the calendar and split the bank. Funny how that works. I wasn't cruel. I moved the forms aside. We ate noodles from the carton. We picked a movie we'd seen in college. She put her legs across my lap like old times. 20 minutes in, her phone buzzed. She checked, flipped it back over. Spam, she muttered. Right, I said. At 10, she yawned. I'm wiped. Rain check on the rest. I didn't chase. Sleep, I said. She took her phone and her softness upstairs like they were the same object. Saturday, I met Mike and the youth team parents at the community center. We laid out raffle baskets, sold tickets, hustled. Lauren texted around 8. Kelsey's dinner moved to tonight. You coming? I replied, still at the event. Figures, she wrote. Send Kelsey my best, I answered. Then I put the phone away and ran the 50-50 drawing. Dan swung by the gym afterward and clapped me on the shoulder. You free? Quick beer. Can't, I told him. Early start tomorrow for a roof job. He tipped his head. How's home? Neat lines on the calendar, I said. Mess everywhere else. He grunted. Keep your lines. Folks respect lines more than speeches. When I got home, Lauren's shoes were dumped in the hallway like she'd sprinted her way out of them. She was laughing into her phone in the kitchen, then cut the call when she saw me. Her hair smelled like a different brand of shampoo and a place I wasn't invited. How was your night? She asked, overly light. Productive, I said, tossing my jacket on the chair. Kids sold out the raffle. Good turnout. She opened the fridge, stared inside like the answer to something was behind the milk. Kelsey asked about you. What did you tell her? That you're married to your hobbies, she tossed over a shoulder. Cute, I said. You do know coaching a youth team counts as contributing to the zip code, not hiding from you. I didn't say you are hiding, she replied, closing the door a little too hard. Relax. You implied it. There's a difference. One's honest, one's slippery. She grabbed a glass. God, can we not do this? I'm tired. Then sleep, I said. I'm not running a seminar. I'm telling you I notice. The following Tuesday, she started staying out late again. This time, no dinner bag. No, I miss us. Just a trail of bland words and vanishing acts. I tried not to chase trivia. I watched actions, not commentary. Thursday, she came home near midnight, quiet as a shadow, thinking I'd be asleep. I was at the dining table with a spreadsheet open. I'd been mapping out utilities, the mortgage, and the split account to make sure bills were on autopilot and clean. I didn't want money to become a weapon in a fight. She saw the screen glow and froze. What are you doing? She asked, cautious. Making it easy to not resent each other, I said, closing the laptop. Money's now traced. No surprises. If you need something, say it. Otherwise, your column, my column. Her face smoothed into something close to concern. Mark, this is too much. No, I corrected. This is adult. We're building rails because the train started drifting. She set her bag down. You don't trust me. I trust the math, I said. It doesn't lie when it's tired. She stood there for a beat, then moved closer, softer again. I'm sorry I've been off, she murmured. It's a season. Work's nuts. I'm overwhelmed. Another soft turn. It landed right on cue with the money rails. What do you need? I asked. Patience, she said. You have it, I told her, along with boundaries. She managed half a smile, kissed my cheek like she remembered the choreography, and went upstairs with her phone. The cheek felt like a ceremonial coin. They toss it in the fountain, make a wish, keep walking. Friday morning, she popped her head into the garage. Kelsey's having people over tomorrow. It's small. I told her we'd both come. I checked the calendar. My left column said I was meeting a builder at noon and helping Dan install a custom shelf in the afternoon. I decided to shift. One of my rules was no martyrdom. If I can give an inch without bleeding out, I will. But I won't give the inch to be graded like a student. I'll swing by for an hour, I said. Then I'm heading to Dan's. She perked up. Thank you. That night she sat closer on the couch. She laughed at something I said the way she used to, with her eyes as well as her mouth. It felt like an amnesty I didn't order. I didn't relax into it. I just took note. At Kelsey's place the next day, the living room was a loud collage. People balanced plates on their knees, music too low to cover small talk. Kelsey is a talker with a talent for stirring pots. She hugged me and then held me at arm's length. Finally, she declared, the famous husband appears. Just a guy who can't say no to free chips, I said. Lauren says you've been busy, she added, drawing out the word like taffy. I looked at Lauren. She was already chatting with a guy in a blue shirt I didn't know. He laughed the way people laugh when they want to be noticed. Busy with the youth team, the shop, and keeping the lights on, I said. Normal boring things. Kelsey sipped a drink. She works hard too, you know. I do know, I said. We're both adults. A few minutes later, Lauren wandered over with blue shirt. This is Ryan, she said. He's hilarious. Cool, I replied, offering a hand. I'm Mark. I install things and make them straight. Ryan looked at my hand, then at Lauren, then shook like he was signing for a package. Nice to meet you. Mark's the serious one, Lauren told him, smiling in that sideways way. He color codes the spice rack. False, I said. The spices alphabetized themselves out of respect. Kelsey cackled. You're killing me. Lauren rolled her eyes. You see? He can't not be a dad joke. I took a chip, chewed, and decided to set a public boundary without a speech. I put an arm lightly around Lauren's waist, not to claim, but to anchor the conversation. Hey, I said to her, still easy. One request. If you want to roast me, keep it to what's true. I don't color code. I barely remember paprika versus chili powder. Kelsey blinked. Ryan glanced at the floor. Lauren stiffened for a breath, then smiled like nothing happened. Fine, she said. We'll roast the haircut instead. Also false, I replied. Haircut's perfect. I let my arm fall away and turned to Ryan. You live nearby? 2 blocks, he said. Good neighborhood for walks, I noted. Lots of porches. People say hi. That's my speed. I stayed 45 minutes. I thanked Kelsey. I told Lauren, within earshot of 2 people, I'm heading to Dan's. Text me if you need a ride. The public line was set. I wasn't a prop. At Dan's, we installed the shelf, the kind with hidden brackets that makes a wall look smarter than it is. Dan handed me a root beer. How'd the social go, he asked. I put down a line without a flare gun, I said. Good, he nodded. Lines are free. Drama charges interest. When I got home around 7, Lauren was on the couch, wrapped in a blanket. Her eyes were red. The TV was paused on a cooking show. You could have stayed, she said without looking. I said I'd be an hour, I answered, hanging my jacket. I needed you. You needed an audience, I said, voice even. Different thing. She sat up. God, Mark, why are you like this? Always calculating. Can't you just be spontaneous? I was spontaneous when I married you after 8 months because you felt like home, I told her. The calculator came out when you started scheduling your exit and calling it busy. She went quiet. Then, you're reading into everything. Actions read themselves, I said. I just keep score of respect. 2 nights later, she stayed out and texted after midnight. I'm safe. Don't wait up. I wrote back. I wasn't waiting. That was the last line I sent her before the roof came off. The next day, my phone buzzed while I was tightening a hinge on a cabinet. Unknown number. I ignored it. It buzzed again. A photo popped up. The kitchen spun slow, then stopped. Lauren. On a boardwalk I didn't recognize. Sunglasses, summer dress. Her arms looped around a man's shoulders. His back to the camera. The ocean behind them. The kind of picture people take when they forget the rest of the world. I pinched the image, hunted for something. A reflection in her glasses, a sign, anything. Nothing. The phone buzzed again. Another image. Closer. Same boardwalk. Too close for guessing games. I called her. Straight to voicemail. I called the number that sent the photo. It rang, then clicked off. I called again. Click. Again. 2 hours later, another message. A short video. I hit play with my thumb like it weighed a pound. Lauren on a beach I'd never seen. Laughing. Relaxed. In the arms of the same man. This time, his face turned toward the camera for a second. I knew it. Of course I did. We all have a ghost in the story. Hers had a name from before me. I'd met him twice, years ago, as a polite relic at a holiday thing. The kind of face you file away under, not my problem. Except now it was printed in color. It's her past, I said to the empty room. Correction, it's her present. The anger wasn't loud. It was cold and organized. I walked to the calendar on the wall and took a black marker to 3 things with both our initials. Canceled. 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 I stood there long enough to understand my own rules. I wasn't going to send a dozen messages. I wasn't going to make a scene online. I was going to change the locks on my time. I left the house. I drove nowhere for an hour. Then I drove back and sat at the dining table with a legal pad. I wrote down steps. Find a lawyer, secure money, collect documents, inventory the house. Nothing dramatic, nothing cinematic. Just exits. At noon the next day, my doorbell rang. I opened it and found a woman roughly my age, poised, steady. Brown blazer, clear eyes. She held a folder like a courthouse clerk without the courthouse. Are you Mark? She asked. Yes. I think you received my messages. You sent those. I let her in because the hallway felt too small for this kind of truth. She set the folder on the table like a mechanic sets a part he knows you need. My name's Natalie. I'm married to Jason, she said, the name dropping onto the table between us like a wrench. I hired someone to confirm what I suspected. When I got the file, I decided you deserve to see. You're not the only one being treated like a placeholder. I opened the folder. Photos, dates, locations, logs of hotel reservations, and meal charges. Screenshots of text snippets that never show full paragraphs but reveal more than anyone wants them to. The boardwalk had a name. The beach had coordinates. The timeline had her work dinners on it in black ink. Natalie sat across from me, hands folded. I'm not here to hurt you, she said. I don't even know you. I just couldn't keep it to myself. Thank you, I replied, because facts are a favor even when they cut. I appreciate direct. She nodded. I won't stay. I wanted to put this in your hands. Do with it what helps you. She stood to go. I walked her to the door. Halfway there, she paused. I know this is a mess, she added, but you seem like someone who doesn't get lost in messes. That's the plan, I said. And if you ever need a witness for your sanity, call. She left, and I sat with the folder until the afternoon slid under the horizon. Then I made appointments. By Friday, I was in a lawyer's office with tidy blinds and a quiet clock. I laid out the folder, the timeline, my plan to keep everything as clean and fast as the law allows. I told the lawyer I wasn't out to torch the building. I was out to leave it and pay my share of the fire code. You're measured, he said. That helps you. It helps everyone, I replied, except people who prefer fog. I left with a stack of papers and a list of signatures I needed. I didn't text Lauren. I didn't call. I didn't post anything. I spent the night at Dan's spare room with a duffel and my dignity. Natalie texted me once that weekend. I hope you're okay. Focused, I replied. She sent a thumbs up, then a beat later. If you ever want to walk in air, I'm around. Tomorrow, I wrote. We met Sunday morning at the park. Two strangers pulled into the same undertow, walking side by side on a path lined with maples. She had a dry wit and a calm center. We talked about nothing that lives on a court docket. Music, bad coffee, good dogs, how a neighborhood resurfaces after a long winter. It felt like a bench on a long climb. When the week ended, exactly 7 days after Lauren told me she needed space, Natalie and I drove to the coast. Not because we were running. Because we refused to sit in a house waiting for someone else's apology. We booked separate rooms because clarity is kindness. We ate seafood that tasted like the water was a mile away because it was. We walked. We didn't talk about spouses more than 10 minutes at a stretch. We didn't trade wounds. We traded jokes. On the second day, while I was in the water pretending I knew how to float without thinking, my phone lit up on the towel. Lauren, calling, calling, calling. Natalie watched it trill. She hesitated, then picked it up. Hello, she said, voice steady. There was a beat I didn't hear. Then she added, don't call. He needs to be alone right now. She clicked off and set the phone down like she was placing a hot pan on a trivet. When I came back, she told me. I smiled without heat. Fair, I said, toweling salt from my face. She wanted me to panic. Let her wait. We drove back Monday. The drive was quiet in the good way. When we pulled into my street, we already knew the plan. We go in, I said. We hand over the papers. We pack. We leave. We don't negotiate with fog. She nodded. Same script at my place. I parked. We didn't hug. We didn't vow. We just went to work. Lauren was at the table when I walked in, laptop open, a mug half full. She looked up, eyes flitting from the folder under my arm to my face. She must have felt the weather change. Where have you been? She asked, accusation wrapped in concern. Took a drive, I answered. I set the packet on the table. This is for you. She stared at the first page, then flipped, and her face moved through stages like a slideshow she didn't order. Photos, dates, the boardwalk, the beach. Her jaw tightened. She went straight to offense. What is this? She demanded. Who did this? Are you following me now? No, I replied. A person who owed me nothing gave me the respect you didn't. She slapped the folder shut. This is out of context. Context, I said, nodding. The word people use when facts are inconvenient. You're being cruel. I'm being clear, I corrected. We're done. She stood so fast the chair scraped. You're leaving me based on photos? Based on some jealous woman. You didn't answer your phone, I said, calm as a checked bag. You didn't write plans on a calendar. You wrote them with someone else in another area code. You are not a hostage here. You're free. So am I. She threw the photo back at me like it could boomerang. So you go sleep with. What? Your informant? Is that it? Is that why her number shows on your phone? I saw it light up. Don't project, I said. Nothing happened. We walked. We got air. And she told you what you told me weeks ago. Don't call. She jabbed a finger at the packet. You're going to regret this. People will think. People think less than you fear and care less than you hope. I told her, lifting my duffel from the hall. I'm not building a case in public. I'm building a life in private. You can't just. I can, I said. Like this. I set my house key on the table. I took the spare car key from the bowl and placed it next to it. I slid my bank card across, then took it back and put it in my wallet. Bills are paid through the month, I added. You'll get a note from the lawyer. It's clean. It's fair. If you want to keep something, make a list. Anything that was ours, we'll split. Anything that was mine, I'm loading now. Anything that was yours, I'll leave it where it belongs. She made a sound like she was about to cry, then pivoted to anger, then to bargaining. The trifecta. She grabbed my arm. We can fix it, she said. It was a mistake. It was complicated. I looked at her hand on my sleeve until she let go. If it was complicated, you should have simplified it by being honest, I said. We're too old to be this sloppy. You're really going, she hissed. After everything we built. What we built was a good house. You decided to move your address without changing the lease. I swung the duffel over my shoulder. I'm not suing you. I'm not posting anything. I'm not angry on the internet. I'm just not staying. That's the whole speech. She followed me to the door, throwing words like rocks that bounced. You'll regret this. You'll end up alone. Don't come crawling back when she. I opened the door. Lauren, I said, turning once. If I ever come back here, it'll be for a drill I forgot. That's it. I closed the door behind me. It didn't slam. It clicked. Natalie was waiting in her car. We didn't celebrate. We didn't plot. We looked like two people who'd finished a job and were deciding whether to eat now or later. How'd it go? She asked. Clean enough, I replied. How about you? She exhaled. Messy words. Clean exit. I left the packet, took my car, told him the same thing you told Lauren. We're done negotiating with Fogg. We drove. Not far. Just enough to make the house smaller in the rear view and the road larger in front. We stopped at a diner with a cracked counter and the best eggs in the county. 2 stools. 2 coffees. 2 plates I didn't take a picture of. What now? She asked, stirring cream into her cup like she could erase the week with a spoon. Now, I said, we build in public what was denied us in private. Peace. And the rest. It sorts itself if you don't feed it. She smiled. That sounds like you've rehearsed it. I had a long drive. The months after were tidy. I moved into a small place on a quiet street with a maple out front and a garage that could hold a workbench. I signed for a solid truck with no chrome and good brakes. I took on 3 larger jobs that needed someone who shows up on time, doesn't haggle stupid, and cleans up after himself. My days were full of honest tired. My nights were quiet in the correct way. I didn't block Lauren. I didn't bait her. When papers arrived, I signed them. When the property list came, I circled what mattered and crossed out what didn't. I sent a note to the mortgage company and another to the utility office. Grown-up things, done like grown-ups. Word got around the neighborhood that something had shifted at our old house. A neighbor mentioned seeing a moving van. Kelsey posted fewer parties. Ryan vanished from those parties without anyone saying his name out loud. Lauren moved into a smaller rental across town when our lease came up for renewal, and from the grapevine I caught that she didn't take the boardwalk photos when she left. She left a life that ran better when both hands were steady. That's not my triumph. That's a consequence. Natalie and I didn't rush into anything with labels. We hiked. We grabbed breakfast after early walks. She sat on the bleachers during a youth game and heckled me for calling timeouts too late. Clock, coach, she'd tease. Scoreboard, I'd point at the kids smiling. We traveled once, 6 months later, to a lake with no boardwalk and no phone service. Separate rooms again, not because of some code, but because love, if it's coming, doesn't need urgency to be real. When it did arrive, it came like a door we both opened at the same time because the hinges were oiled, not because somebody pounded on it. Dan came over one Saturday to help me mount a pegboard. He looked around at the garage, the tidy shelves, the truck. You look like a guy who learned to measure once, he said. Finally using the level that's been in my drawer for years, I replied. He nodded at the street where kids were biking in lopsided circles. You miss the old place? I miss what we thought it was, I said, not what it became. He wiped his hands. You did it right. No circus, just a line and a step. Lines are free, I reminded him. Drama charges interest. He laughed, the bucket of gravel sound I've known since he taught me to sand without scratching. Then he gestured to the door. Come on, he said. Mike's got the grill going at the field. We need you to explain to parents why 7-year-olds don't need private trainers yet. I grabbed my cap and keys. The maple outside threw a clean shadow across the driveway. Natalie pulled up as I reached the curb, rolled her window down, and raised an eyebrow. Lake this weekend? She asked. Packed and ready, I said. She nodded toward the passenger seat. Then hop in. And hey, what? She smiled. Don't call. Just ride. I did. If you're waiting for a twist where I went back, it doesn't exist. People want drama because calm looks like nothing on a screen. But calm is a man in a decent truck on a good road with clear boundaries and a plan. Calm is a garage with tools in the right place and a calendar with no lies on it. Calm is not revenge. It's relief. As for Lauren, I hear what any town hears. That she moved again, closer to her sister. That the social circle got smaller without the comfort of shared stories that aren't slippery. That the people who clapped at her jokes now look at their phones more. None of that is my project. My project is the life in front of me. When folks ask me how I did it, how I didn't blow up, how I didn't turn our house into a courtroom, I tell them the same thing I told myself the night the pasta boiled over and nobody ate. You don't argue with Fogg. You turn on your lights, mark the road, and drive. And when a voice calls from the fog saying, "Don't wait up," you don't. You go. You leave the key on the table, and you go build where respect doesn't have to be chased.